All right, so today what we're going to be doing, we're going to be watching a couple of videos. So first one, the one just for this video, is the most confusing character in Smash Ultimate. I actually want to see the thumbnail for this one because like low-key it probably spoils what it is, right? Oh yeah, literally it's Ike. Okay. Why is Ike the most confusing character? Honestly, you could probably make a case for a lot of characters as to like who the most confusing character is. I don't know if I agree with Ike wholeheartedly, but I'd like to hear what this guy has to say. I feel like other characters you can probably talk about are like Lucina or something like Pikachu is a very confusing character. And what I mean by that is like these are characters that are very good and aren't really that hard to play, in my humble opinion. At least compared to some other characters. They're definitely like somewhere in the middle as far as difficulty goes, but they're very good characters. But not a lot of people play them. So I don't understand why you'd put Ike in this category, because when I think of confusing, that's what I think about, is like good but nobody plays them. So let's hear it. Let's hear what he has to say. Shulk? No. Mario's confusing? I don't think so at all.
I remember there were a few characters that we thought were broken, like characters you'd see everyone say that this is gonna be the new meta. And I'm not talking about YouTubers trying to clickbait you. I'm talking about real people, you know, people with souls who were actively discussing characters like Inkling or Ike or K. Rool or Chrom, to name a few.
Who the hell said K. Rool was gonna be good? Who the hell in their right mind thought K. Rool was gonna be lit? I thought K. Rool was obnoxious, but I didn't think he was gonna be good. I saw that recovery, bro. You're not that good of a character. Come on. Tweak? You know what? Tweak did go K. Rool against Goblin that one time. That did happen. K. Rool's a Wi-Fi memer. Week 1 K. Rool was lit, yeah. To be fair, like week 1 Ganondorf, people were scared of that guy, but that's because they didn't know how to beat the Nair spam. And they kind of still don't. They just wait for him to stop spamming. And it's awful that it's like that. If you asked any like high to top level player about Ike, they would tell you that, yeah, it's just early meta and he's going to fall off. And I could literally call up like 3 different people and they would agree with me. Inkling, on the other hand, we expected Inkling to stay, but she just ended up not staying. She kind of fell out of relevance. I think she just got power crept by the other characters. And Chrom was one of those characters too, where when I heard, I wish I could go back in time and show you guys this, but when I heard that he was Roy without sour spots, I was like, that is a top 2 character. Like that is it might be the best character in the game. Roy without sour spots is broken. That's just insane. And then they gave him the shittiest recovery in the game for some reason. It's not like he's supposed to be an echo of Roy, but they gave him Ike's recovery and made it worse. It makes no sense. Anyway,
discussions were very real. It wasn't just some greasy, no shower January guy in his bedroom complaining about Richter's lead trapping. All of this discourse was...
That's Leffen, because Leffen was complaining about those greasy no shower guys were Leffen. He put the Belmonts in like top 10 on his first tier list.
Using mostly Ike. We'll come back to this one, it's important. But we also had other early game top tiers like Inkling show up with Cosmos and his amazing runs at Genesis 6 again, but also...
Imagine playing Marth Omega Laugh. Hey man, make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
And then over in Japan we had Zachary, who was also experimenting with Ike. He doesn't play him anymore, but you know, he did at some point, and that was cool.
I don't know, Zachary had an Ike phase, what the heck?
Some characters finally got a chance to shine later on, while others would be left in the past.
To kind of comment on that exploration phase that he was talking about, is that people didn't actually know that I dropped Zero Suit for a little bit, and I wanted to be an Ike main. I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again for the people who haven't heard it before, but I decided that I was going to be an Ike main and just play Zero Suit for whenever I felt like I needed her. This was like early on in Ultimate when like I was dealing with like the growing pains of learning new Zero Suit, because like down throw didn't combo anymore. Like I was like struggling to kill a lot. Like she was super light and trading was just so relevant in the meta, and it still is today. But I was like, it was really tough time to like kind of figure things out, and like I was struggling against like Incineroar players and stuff like on a local level. And like if you asked me to play an Incineroar now, if you told me that if you told me I had to sit down and play an Incineroar in bracket, I would be like, let's go, dude. I don't care. I could be 2v1ing the best Incineroars in the world, and I would be so comfortable because that matchup is so trash. But back then I didn't know that. I was still trying to figure things out. So before I decided to fully commit to Zero Suit, I played a lot of Ike. And the reason I actually fully committed to Zero Suit was because 2GG, which was a tournament organizer at the time, they invited me to a tournament called Prime Saga, which is a tournament where they invited all of the Metroid characters, Metroid Prime, Metroid. So I was like, okay, whatever. I will commit to the bit for this, and then I will just play Ike after this. So I practiced Zero Suit up a bunch and got really good with her. And then I don't even think I did that good at the tournament, but I don't really remember. But during that phase, like, Zero Suit actually clicked for me, and I was like, I'm gonna main her. That's gonna be what I do. And I went back to being Zero Suit main. Who'd have thought? So yeah, Ike was during an experimental phase, and I'm still pretty good with him. He's not a hard character. Also, as I talked to top players, we knew that Ike wasn't going to be long-term good investment, which is why everyone who played Ike stopped playing Ike. I switched to Zero Suit. Leo switched to Byleth and Joker and Wolf and Lucina. Raven King, who was probably the next best Ike at that time, switched to Joker as well, and whatever the fuck else he decided to play. And you have your couple of random dudes that decided to thug it out with Ike. But yeah, everyone early game who picked them up was just like, yeah, this is a terrible late game investment, so they just switched.
Ons that would be interesting to talk about. We all thought Game & Watch sucked back then, for example, but I think the most drastic tier shift of all was Ike. The man went from being seen as an overall respectable call-out heavy swordie, even with some nice tournament results to back him up, to a contender for the worst sword character in the game, an absolute bottom tier. That's what people say, alright? I'm not saying I agree, but that's what people are saying. And he doesn't have a lot of representation either. The closest Ike gets to this level of representation in 2025 is Tora, an insanely talented player from Japan. I love watching her play, go check her games out, but unfortunately it is very unlikely Ike's glory will return to even a quarter of what it was in early game Ultimate. Or is the... Nah, I'm kidding. I don't know. Probably not. And also the Switch 2 got announced a little while ago. You know, who's gonna change their mains at this point, right? But
Ike's plan is to nair, and when he's not nairing, he's grabbing, and when he's not grabbing, he's down tilting. That is it. That is how you play Ike.
This much strength and this much disjoint. There are some characters that come close in terms of the things they look for, like the game plan. Sephiroth, Byleth, and Cloud might come kind of close.
This guy loves Persona. Holy shit. All of his mods have been Persona characters.
A good Ike should be a master of 1-2 combos, because after that nair to up air or nair to nair or something, if you air dodge out of a combo, he'll be ready. If you're being a little careless when landing, dash attack is amazing. Miss attack on a platform, you might need a smash attack. If you're a little bit careless when...
Dude, remember when I played Ike and I would just spam forward smash? The whole time. I would nair somebody, and then they would air dodge at 50, and I would already just be with the sword, just ready to forward smash them. Shoutouts to Esam giving me that free win. That was pretty awesome of him. Never playing Ike versus Pikachu again. That matchup is dog water.
You'll add reaction time, or at the very least, you will lose control of the stage, which is, you know, always fun. This comes with the trade-off that Ike's mobility isn't the best. His recovery might be lengthy thanks to quick draw, his side B, but he doesn't have the best disadvantage. You'll have...
I would say that Ike is like low-key one of the more defensive sword fighters. Because he was comparing him to like Lucina, where Lucina schmoves and like he said, kind of graceful, like floating around shield, like baiting you to like jump at her, stuff like that. Ike doesn't do that. He just says, please run into my moves the whole game. And if you're getting run down by an Ike, you're doing something wrong. He should be not really approaching ever in his life. He should be abusing platforms.
Why did he fall off? What happened? What happened to the man? What happened to Mr. Shit? Alright, so let's look at the timeline.
What the heck?
It starts with MKLeo, of course, the GOAT, who you could credit with Ike's initial success. He won the first Ultimate Super Major, Genesis 6, using Ike and Lucina. And for the first time in this channel's history, let's not talk about Lucina right now. Leo played patient, like we talked about earlier. He took hits, he lost some stocks, but when he got in, he got in. In the end, he played against Void's Pichu in Grand Finals as Lucina, because Ike against Pichu sounds like a horrendous matchup for Leo. Makes sense. Remember the bad get off me moves? He kind of has a hard time swatting flies away, and Pichu is really quick. But still, almost all of this tournament was played with Ike. And you know why I think this is super interesting? You know why I'm even talking about this in the video? Well, this tournament, only 55 days into Ultimate, was where Ike peaked. To this
55 days into Ultimate is where Ike peaked? That's so funny. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I remember, like, after Genesis, I think, was Frostbite, and then, like, Tweak played Wario against the Ike and beat him, and I think at that point, Leo was like, all right, Ike's retired. No more of this shit. He's trash. We're not playing this anymore.
This day, there has been no other Ike player who's gotten top 8 at a major. There's been a bunch of characters.
Damn, that's a fucking stat.
Tora, you can't make an Ike video in this day and age without mentioning Tora. She's been making waves with Ike. I love watching Tora play. I think it's only a matter of time until she starts getting more eyes on her, but unfortunately, we have...
Character is simply too one-dimensional. Yeah, if we're talking about his fall off, it's just that his game plan is way too simple, and people learned that, like, just anti-air him the whole game. and you should be fine. He doesn't really get any like combos from like grounded moves if he's playing too grounded, except for down tilt, which is like, you know, it's only a 2-piece combo.
Alright, it makes sense that at the start of the game's release, we see a lot of easy to pick up characters. We used to see a lot of well-rounded, mostly simple, mostly honest fighters like Lucina, Ike, Palutena, and Wolf early on into Ultimate. A little combo action too, like with Pichu and Peach, but they didn't.
I guess that's true. Combo characters didn't really thrive in the early meta. Light wasn't doing too good. I wasn't doing too good. Like, who was like the most combo-centric character we had in early relevant meta was like Mario and Palu, and that was it. And like, it was mostly just spamming the same move over and over and over. He said earlier in the video, and I'm reading it in my chat right now, that people thought Game & Watch was bad. Not really. Like, it took a while for him to pop off, but that's because like, I don't know, Meister just wasn't like as oppressive, and people like didn't really see the Game & Watch strengths until like Mia, I feel. Like Meister was doing really well, but it felt so beatable.
You think Mute Ace would have been able to do this combo against the best player in the world right now, only a couple months after the game had come out?
No.
Cloud, of course, no exception. Backer, though, coming out right here.
What is this? Is this Mute Ace? Is he alive? Did he just win? Mute Ace takes it over.
I mean, maybe if he knew about it, I guess he would have practiced it. But these developments, these combo routes are a result of the Peach player community taking their time, taking their years to lab out the character and practice it and discover new tech and stuff. Whereas the Ike community, I mean, what advancements have they made recently? I want to know. Technical characters had a slow start, but because there's more to them and because people are really talented and work really hard to perfect their mains, eventually the characters that took longer to master are gonna catch up to the simple all-rounders who've been good from the start, and because of their higher skill ceiling, they will only keep improving and discovering new things. Game & Watch only started his infamy until after the pandemic, or kind of during the pandemic, and Luigi and Falco have never been this popular until now. And Steve,
It's weird because the cheeser characters also started thriving when the neutral-based combo characters started thriving too. Isn't that weird? Interesting.
you're basically Ike with a cheat code. You can play Cloud and sacrifice some kill power for better movement. You can be like me and switch to Byleth if you want to wear fishnets. I could go on.
Hold on, what?
Some kill power for better movement. You can be like me and switch to Byleth if you want to wear fishnets. I could go on. Ike has things he does great, but as new characters come out and get their turn on the spotlight, it was pretty natural for him to lose a ton of representation and discourage people interested in trying something new from trying him out to begin with. Ike has some surprisingly good matchups against current top tiers. I'll get to those in a couple minutes, but remember when I said Ike has a miserable time getting out of disadvantage, his lame out of shield game, risky recovery options, lack of consistently good get off me moves? Well, that does not pair well when the meta right now consists of characters with insane punish games. You might have...
He does have a point. There are like some extremely obscure characters that Ike does really well against, and like one of them is like Game & Watch. And low-key, Ike does pretty good against Roy. You wouldn't expect it, but he does pretty good against Roy. But then there's some other characters he does not do so well against, and that's like most of the other top tiers, like ZSS. Hey, you said relevant characters, okay? Ike beating Zerusuit is a completely different conversation. Slightly more range than Roy, I guess. Just trust me. Don't Ikes consider that their worst matchup? Guys, I'm trying to spread a narrative here, alright? Get real.
Not to say everyone is campy and lame now, because that's not true. We have a ton of cool and hype players and characters, and it's not like nobody approaches anymore. That's not the case. What I mean is people just don't overextend like they used to at a high level. A lot of players have been at this for over half a decade. As time goes on, you're gonna start improving and you'll stop making the same mistakes you made back then. Unless, you know, you're out on Elite Smash, then in that case, Ike down tilt into a smash attack is basically a true combo. But out in the real world, right? There's a reason you don't see Roy players go for jab forward smashes as much anymore. Remember that? Remember when people used to fall for that? That's not a thing anymore, unless, I don't know, maybe it's a thing, but it's not that big of a thing anymore. Another example the meta isn't very kind to Ike anymore is because, yeah, he may do a ton of damage with straightforward combos and spook people with his call-out game to get early kills off only a couple wins in advantage state, but as someone who takes Joker to bracket sometimes, we don't really need our combos to be that easy because...
Also, he's comparing like Wi-Fi to like, I don't know, real life matches. You know, real life matches have like a certain vibe to it. Like I can tell based on like body language and like vibes from the other person sitting next to me when they're gonna do something stupid. If I'm playing against an Ike and he hits me with a down tilt and then dashes forward, I'm like, he's gonna try and forward smash me at 30, and I'm not falling for it, bro. I wasn't born yesterday. Like, you know, I don't catch those vibes when I'm playing Wi-Fi, so I'm way more likely to fall for it, you know.
To end this section of the video, the punish game for each character has collectively as in as a community, been optimized almost to the fullest by now. Like,
yeah, I like what he says there, because like it's the point he was making earlier too, where like characters took a while to develop. Ike hit his ceiling like in the first like year or so, and then they like kind of changed him so the ceiling moved a little bit. Like I'm talking about like patches, right? Whereas Zerosuit, like she hit her ceiling in the first like 2 years of Ultimate being out, and then they nerfed her. They didn't like change her and rework her like they did with like Ike and like change, like, you know, like gave him more combo routes and different kill confirms. They just straight up nerfed her and made her worse. So it's not like it's fucked up what they did to her, you know? She hit her ceiling in year 2, nothing new was developing, and then they made her worse. So that is just like a guaranteed way to make a character fall off.
It's time, right? Hot take alert. But according to SDN, a staff member in the Ike Discord, Ike has some decent matchups against Steve, Game & Watch, and Sonic. Like, this is the plot twist of the video. I never imagined, like, is there
Steve?
guys, can we get 500 likes?
No way. No way Steve is fine for Ike.
Getting fast. Sonic is a little different. He might struggle against Ike's insane anti-air moves like dash attack, F tilt, and nair, to name a few. Roy Joker have a good approach game in the ground and in the air, and Sonic does too, but he greatly prefers coming in from above thanks to like spin dash and his other specials and up air and nair for combos and stuff, and he likes to get a lead and run with it. But with Ike's insanely underrated burst moves and solid damage output, he can make it a little more difficult for Sonic to run away with the lead. Not saying all Sonic players always go for the timeout, but they do play more passive and put pressure on you to get some damage in, and yeah, he's super annoying. To say the matchup is good for Ike might be a little much, even SDN couldn't get behind that, but calling it an automatic loss for Ike, it's like, you know, 90-10. No, it's not, man. Chill out. Answer to why Ike has things going for him against Game & Watch is kind of simple. He gets outranged and dies early to Ike's moves because he's super light. And Steve, Ike has good answers to minecart. Pretty much all his moves break it. His disjoints make it easier for him to break blocks safely. He can have some trouble going over blocks, but he can break them just fine. And I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm coming out of the closet. I don't think Ike is a bad character. I think
Okay.
he's
mid.
good. If you don't see a character being properly represented, you'll just assume they suck. Like, what the hell is Mewtwo doing in D tier? Like, I don't think Mewtwo's broken or anything. Not like that. It's not like a salty thing. Like, Mewtwo's broken. No, Mewtwo's fine. But D tier, like, he has to be better than that. No, am I weird for thinking Mewtwo? Like, what is he doing here?
Okay, I think what he's talking about is, I think it's a misconception of tier lists in general, where like,
Or anything. Assume they suck. Like, what the hell is Mewtwo?
like the gap between like here and here is not that big to me. Can you see my mouse? Like, character viability wise, like around here and around here are like low-key similar to some degree. Like, yes, there is a gap, and that's why there is a tier list. But like, the way I like to think about it is like, if Steve is 100 points, the worst character in the game, Ganondorf, is like probably at like 30 points. Right? But I would put like Mewtwo at like 60, you know? And then characters up here like 75, 80. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like, character viability wise, like 100 points viable. Right on this row is like 85 or 80 points viable. And then over here is like 60 to 65 points viable. That's close to me. I don't know. It's hard to explain what I'm
like. I don't think
mean.
Mewtwo's broken or anything. Not to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm about to say something childishly optimistic here, but I don't care. Tora is carrying Ike's representation right now, but she isn't that popular yet. What if she keeps climbing the ladder and we start seeing her more in the future, and she inspires people to pick Ike up the same way Neo and Shadik proved how good Corrin was in early 2024? Can we do the Corrin thing but for Ike this year? Maybe the year of Ike, and maybe we learn that Ike can.
Hold on, someone in my chat said something good. This is why I prefer to not use letters for tier lists. Just let the tiers be all the characters in this tier are better than the characters in that tier. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like the tier list is for this game. But like, when there's like the division in the tiers, in my head, I'm just like, okay, there's like a small character gap, or there's like a small gap in viability. Whatever, you get the idea.
Victim of oppression or a civilization lost in time or whatever. Sorry if I gave off a weird vibe, but I don't know. Ike is cool and I want to see him more. That's the video. That's all this video is. I just like Ike. You guys know you guys.
True, Ike is cool. I like Ike. Except playing against him. He's kind of a coward once I have to play against him. No, this is pretty good. I like this video. This is a good video. It's a good talking piece. I don't know if I would agree that this makes him the most confusing character. Did he bring up any points as to why this character is confusing? Just like, I don't know. I don't understand how the title of the video comes into play here. He kind of explains why the character fell out of relevance, and maybe that's why. Maybe people are confused as to why Ike fell off so hard, but and that answers that. So you know what? I see. W clickbait. It's not clickbait. I mean, he talks about it pretty well and in depth. It's fine. Will he come back in the meta? No, absolutely not. I don't think the game will stay alive long enough for Ike to become a relevant character, if I'm being brutally honest. But the fact that he does good against Sonic, low-key, I'm putting that in the pocket. I'm keeping that one in the brain. Confusing on the tier list. I mean, if you just look at early Ultimate meta, and you see bro is like winning tournaments in the first like 50 to 100 days of Ultimate being out, and now he's considered trash, unviable dog water. Then you know what? I get it. You know, it's just weird because like some of the characters that suck are hard to play, and I wouldn't say, like, you know, I wouldn't say that people have them wrong. I just don't know how to play them. Little Mac? No, my Little Mac sucks, dude. And he sucks. Little Mac is shit. Newsflash, low tier main good with low tiers. Okay, guys. Okay. Anyway, that is the video about Ike. You know what? I think I'm going to play a little bit of Ike in Quick Play later today. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. And we like Ike, and we like you a lot. So please like me. Bye. Do you miss your Ike era? No. Not really.